All right, everybody. So I just like to introduce Amari, who kind of put this together. This is his idea. He's got a lot of content. Also, Harold, he's really the meat and potatoes of this whole conversation. Harold, I'll let you dive into your introduction. Harold is a real estate investor, and he's making things happen. You know, a lot of us watch YouTube videos, and this is somebody, some gems you can get. So I guess we'll start with Harold if you want to kind of give your introduction, kind of your background on how you got started.
Oh yeah. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I really was looking for a way to supplement my income from the 9 to 5. So did a little research and saw an ad for some people that did some real estate and didn't realize they were local on Facebook, and decided to take a course and they're kind of like my mentors now still, and I took their flip course. And of course that entailed learning about renovating the houses, the entire process, getting contractors, the actual process of doing the renovation, and going through that process till you get to the selling point. So I took that course. That was probably about 4 or 5 months, and then you try to start the process of trying to find a property. That's a challenge. That's probably the most challenging part of the process. I tell people it's easy to find a house, but it's hard to find one at a good deal. Anybody can buy a house. But you got to buy it at the right price, and that's the part that you find that to be really challenging. So, I initially went through a real estate investor company called New Western, who actually is no longer in the area that I'm in now. I went through them initially, and then I found a property and decided to go with that. And it was in Burlington, which is the town actually where my mentor is, and it's beside the town I'm in. And I decided to walk that property, get an idea if that would be a good fit. So, I went through, did my estimations of what I thought the rehab would cost, and went through that process, and I decided, okay, I'm going to go with this. And then I put down my deposit. They have certain deposits you have to put down. So I put that deposit down, which happened to be $7,500. So really nervous, first time doing that. And so I did that. And then, my mentor asked me how things were going with that. I said, yeah, I found a house and I put, my deposit down. He said, oh, great. He said, great. So he said, hey, I would want that if you want me to. So I said, sure, come on, So him and his wife, who, said it flipped, hundreds of homes, decided to walk it. And we walked back through the house again. And then this is when kind of reality hit, because we went back in, and then he's like, oh, you need to get that tree above the house, removed. That could fall on, the house. Oh, you need to get that certain stuff in the backyard landscaping cleared out. And then
Mhm.
he's going through the house and saying certain things that I didn't think about when I walked through the house.
Right.
So this money's just adding up. I'm like, oh man, I didn't add that. I didn't add that. I didn't add that. And then once we finished, he was about 25,000 more than I had on my rehab. So I was really, nervous at that point, because I was basing it off a number that was a lot smaller that it would take to repair the house. So we basically went and left the house and grabbed everybody to eat and had a discussion. And then he said, in all honesty, you might be writing a check at the end of this process. Based off the number you have and what I'm seeing, you could be writing a check. And then he said, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm thinking maybe you might want to walk away from this. And and I was like, okay, I was fine with it until I realized I would lose $7,500.
Right.
That was the scary part.
Yeah.
So I said he's got more experience than me. He's done this a lot, and he feels that the what I have in place number wise is not feasible. So my wife and I decided that we were going to walk away and eat the $7,500. So it was extremely painful to do that. Uh, and very deflating to do that. So that's what we did. We walked away. We contacted, hoping maybe we could use it on another house, and they said we possibly could if we bought another one with them, but never did. So lost $7,500 on my very first attempt at trying to do something. You know, purchase a property. So, you know, I didn't let it discourage me too much because, like I said, I had to figure out a way to try to make, you know, some money now that I've lost $7,500 before I started. So I've spent $2,000 on a course, and then I lost $7,500, you know, doing that. So I didn't want to give up, and I had to figure out something, and then I had Rick. Rick, you know, was doing some wholesaling, and Rick was sending me some properties, and he sent me one that was in Lexington, which was about 40 minutes from where I was at, and I went and checked that one out. And this is not long after. This is probably after the loss on that Burlington one. It was probably about 3 weeks later, so it was not long after that. I decided to look at this one, and I looked at it, and then I did have a contractor with me again, which is, like I said, kind of scary, and I think about it again. And then I decided to go with that house. So I decided to make that purchase with that one, and then that one we actually did, and that transaction went to close, and then we got that house, and that started the adventure. And you know, it's lots of ups and lots of downs. You know, doing that, you know, I had many issues. Mainly, first biggest issue in the first few days, termites. So my contractor sent me a picture, and it was, I can't even describe it. It was like a bomb went off because they had tore up all the floors, trying to check the joists in the floors to see if they were good, and then every single one was bad, every single one. So he sent me a picture, and it was a dirt ground. You open the door, and you look down, and you see dirt. The floors are gone. You had to take out everything. So, you know, being new flipper, I mean, I was just like, what have I gotten myself into? This is gonna be worse than the last time.
Right.
You think I lost a lot last time? So yeah, I did. I was just terrified at that point because I just like thinking, how much is this gonna cost? Because I didn't expect that. Yeah, I had a couple dips in a couple areas, and I thought we were gonna replace those dipping areas and be done with the floor issue. And no, every single piece of wood had to be removed. So that added more dumpsters, you know, that I didn't account for that needed.
Yeah.
So it cost me two more dumpsters that I didn't anticipate, and those were $400 to $500 a piece. So I had, and it cost a week of work for them to take all that wood out and put the new wood in. That was a week we didn't plan for because we, you know, had to replace every single floor. So that was the adventure that you went on when you do flipping. Anybody, I don't care how long you've done it, you're gonna run into things that you don't expect, you know, and things are gonna happen that you don't expect, and that's why they always recommend putting a contingency, which is, you know, some kind of additional amount on your budget. You know, it depends on the person, but I hear 5%, 10%, or whatever your budget is. Add another 5 or 10%, you know, for the unexpected, and because it's gonna happen. So that's something that, you know, I try to do when you know, I make a plan and do a scope of work. I try to add that additional contingency in there, and and that is just to save you for the things that you just, they're gonna happen, and you want to be prepared for them. But yeah, that house, you know, like I said, we went through a lot of issues with permitting. You know, my contractor, you know, I got a contractor that, you know, he knew how to do the work, but the processes and procedures, he was not real good at, you know, submitting, you know, to get permits ahead of time. So it, you know, that caused delays on the back end. Uh, and you just have just one thing after another. Because remember, you know, I'd never done this, so I didn't know what he was doing right or wrong. So, you know, you're at the will of the contractor you hire. So, you know, getting one that has this license, which he was not, would have made a lot of experiences a lot better. Because he, like I said, he just didn't know, but he did very good work. He knew how to do the work. He just didn't know the policies and the procedures, and it just caused a lot of problems on the back end. I could keep going, but I don't know if you want to.
Yeah,
You know,
no.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, I think you did a great job of, you know, kind of opening our eyes, everybody's eyes is going to be watching this. So some things you don't know
yeah,
until you know you don't know them, right?
you just don't. You don't know. The unexpected happens even for experienced people.
And I think real estate is definitely more so than others, exponentially almost.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so Mari, what do you got?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So you've only like flipped. You're only an investor. You never wholesaled or anything before, or have you?
No, I'm trying to start doing that now. I'm actually getting into wholesaling now, and actually what I do now is I send out creative offers every day. I just
Okay.
started that, at the very beginning of the year. I send out creative seller finance creative offers
Yeah.
every day. I'll get houses that are 90 days and older and send out two a day. I'll pick two wherever in the country, and I'll reach out to the realtor and send them a letter of intent based off the rent of the property that I could get, and then I'll give them a down payment amount, I'll give them a monthly payment amount, and then I'll give them a balloon payment.
Right.
And then and then I also have a little amount in there for them because you want to give them incentive to want to
Right.
actually try to reach out to the seller and make that presentation of that seller finance offer.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. I know me and Harold worked very slightly on that one. You know, it's his lead, and I tried to kind of get involved with his invitation. And so, for anybody watching, I'll just say, don't be discouraged. Not everybody is as wholesale friendly. It's okay. For example, in this particular case, again, I'm actually a licensed realtor, and I've been reaching out to this agent in another state, Virginia, Danville, just about 45 minutes north of where we're at. And yeah, it's kind of shocking to see somebody that has a house for sale but doesn't answer the phone, doesn't reply to emails or answer texts. But don't let that discourage you guys. Whoever, if you're on this journey, hang in there. Another no just gets you closer to a yes. And these yeses actually have huge payoffs in this business, at least. So don't get
Yeah,
discouraged.
I had a lot of no's. The majority of those, like I said, I sent two a day. So we're at the end of we've done January, February. So say 30 days in a month, that's 120 that I've sent, you know, since the year started. And I've had, maybe two counter offers to what I've sent. And then actually yesterday, a woman I was at, actually speaking of Danville, I was at the casino yesterday. And then I get a call and it's so loud in there. So yeah, I go out and she said, yeah, I got your offer. She said the house that you requested for the seller finance, he's not interested in it, but I have a sub two deal in the Atlanta area. Are you interested in that? So I said, yeah, I'll gladly take a look at it. So, sometimes, you can send for one thing and it can lead to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And Harold, it sounds like you talked on some challenges you faced initially. So my
Mhm,
next question would be if you want to go deeper into one of those challenges as
mhm.
you were getting your start, or not even your start, maybe on a simple transaction, or if you want to talk about a new challenge. Basically, question is what's a significant challenge you faced on this journey, and if you wouldn't mind talking through that, how overcame it, or just maybe not necessarily something you overcame, even like, hey, beware of this.
Yeah. Yeah. For me now, my challenge is I'm really trying to get into the multifamily space, trying to find a duplex, a quadplex, or even more. And then even if it's above my price point, I still feel that I can work out the money issues. I just getting that process initiated is kind of where I'm at right now. I'm working on a couple different locations, and once again, Lexington. There's a duplex in Lexington that I'm working on right now, and it was a duplex that was converted to single family. So I had to check zoning to make sure that it could be converted back to a duplex. So that took a little research, working with the city, trying to find out that information. And then I go check out the property. I like the property for the most part, but then you got to worry about the surroundings. The houses across the street, just not in the best, appearance. And I'm trying to figure out if I have any recourse in that. I'm working with a realtor on that, getting feedback from realtors on, because I don't want to make an offer with those houses across the street looking so bad, because I need when I do these multifamilies, I want those deals to be able to be bird, meaning that I want to be able to rehab them, push the appraised value up so I can pull money out to go do another deal. So if it's in an area that that it's not feel like I'm going to get the value that I need to get, I might have to pass, even if it's a good deal. And this would be a good deal, but if the area is going to hinder getting a good appraised value, I might have to pass and move on to something else. But yeah, that's been the biggest challenge is finding multifamilies in areas where they cash flow and in a decent area where they'll be appreciated in value once you do the remodel. You can't just get something at a cheap price and assume that it's going to be worth more once you do the rehab. It needs to actually, because you want to be able to pull out that money so you can repeat that process.
Okay. So my next question is, how do you do consistent deals, consistent flips, or whatever you currently
I would say preparation. You know, when you get a property, just making sure that you have a good contractor in place, because it's all about time. If you have a good contractor in place and you have good guidelines, because not everybody uses the scope of work, or I should say more than that, not everybody uses a contractor contract.
do?
That is something that my mentor used and he recommended, is to have a contract with your contractor. And which gives guidelines and penalties if they don't meet certain criteria, deadlines. I think that's probably one of I would say the most important things, is to have processes in place, such as contracts and detailed scopes of work, to continue to keep people accountable for time and work quality, so you can be consistently turning properties on a consistent basis. So processes and procedures is probably the main thing I would say to be consistent, is to have those in place.
If I could add on to that,
Mhm.
again, this is for the viewers, people listening, and I think Harold just hit this right on the head. I think he did. Don't be scared if you're having like a conversation with somebody contracting, right? If somebody's not willing to essentially put their name on the line, or a company probably don't want to work with them, but they're not willing to have a conversation. Have those conversations first, lay out your expectations, and then solidify with that paperwork so you can protect yourself as the business, as the investor.
Right. And you interview a lot. If you're going to do a flip, you should interview at least 4 or 5 contractors. And you're not going to like the majority of them, but I guess you go with your gut. And if they're willing to sign the paperwork, because not everybody will sign paperwork. And like Rick said, move on if they don't want to sign it, because you got to cover yourself.
So Harold, that'll take me to my next question. What are your goals when you think about a little bit deeper, I guess, but simply on the base, what are your goals with real estate? And then really, what did you, again, I guess it's a little deeper into it, but when you got into real estate, like, what was your end game? What's your end game?
Passive income. That's what I want. I want, that passive income is the ultimate end goal. I'm a little older and I'm at the point where I need to, get that passive income coming in, where if I, don't want to work, a traditional job, I'll have that income that'll come in consistently. So, getting properties and keeping them in house, and not wholesaling everything when you wholesale something, or get rid of something when you flip it. Hold on to them, put tenants in them, and draw that passive income. And another benefit of that as well is basically, a bank for you too. You can pull out that equity as needed for certain things. You need to fix something at your personal residence. I can pull that equity out if needed, and have that tenant pay that back by rent. So yeah, the ultimate goal is to build a nice stream of passive income. That's the end game or goal, is to get that passive income where I'll get paid regardless of what happens. Whether I'm, stop flipping or stop wholesaling or whatever it may be, I'll still have that income coming in. That's where I want to end up at.
Okay.
Yep. And I encourage everybody to do their own research, but I think everybody will confirm that real estate consistently outperforms just about every other investment strategy, especially consistently over time. So, Amar, I think you've got the next question.
Yeah. So my question was, if you could give your past self some advice when you first started, what would you tell your past self to avoid certain mistakes you currently have made in your journey?
Past, I can't say risk, because I consider myself kind of a risk taker, so I wouldn't say take a risk. A lot of people might say that, say I'll take them, but no. For me, I probably would say, to build relationships, more relationships. That's probably the main thing that I probably haven't done as much as I should is build relationship with other people that are doing it, and have a mentor that I have the ability to work with more directly.
Yeah.
Because if you have somebody that you can spend some time with while they're doing their thing successfully, it would help you a lot. And that's probably, if I could change the beginning, I would probably try to get more direct contact with people that are actually doing real estate actions,
Yeah.
instead of trying to do stuff on my own or reach out with a phone call, and be more direct access. It's probably the biggest encouragement I would tell myself, is to get more direct access to people doing what you want to do.
So this isn't my question, but I'm curious. Do you mean more so like, a mentor? Are you encouraging people to get a mentor, or maybe partner with a contractor or somebody? Or can you kind of build on that? Like,
Yeah,
I know it's easy to say, hey, are you an investor? And then people get roped into other wholesale. Great to build relationships. Maybe somebody, but yeah.
Yeah, tag along with if you can tag along with somebody. Like I said, if you want to buy multifamily, tag along with somebody that's doing that. Go with them and see their process on how they're doing what they're doing. So I mean, physically, if you can, get with the person that's doing what you want to do, and see if you can hang out with them. Offer your services for free. You need me to do some research on something, offer your services for free, just to learn and pick their brain in the process, because you can only learn so much, looking at YouTube videos
Yeah.
and on a phone call. But if you can get somebody that's doing what you want to do, and you can go hang with them while they're doing that thing, you're going to learn so much more. And so that's basically what I'm saying, is just physically get with that person that's doing what you want to do, and tag along if possible. And like I said, if you have to offer free services, offer free services.
Okay, appreciate that, Omar.
So how do you acquire your flips? How do you get consistent leads?
Well, that's, for me, that's not something that I have a process for. I really, I'm work in progress with that myself. I drive for dollars. I do that. I send out postcards. I send out, like I said, the emails to realtors for creative offers. I don't have a consistent, process in place yet. I wish I did. It's a challenge even for experienced people to get, properties. I know experienced people that are struggling to get properties. It's very competitive. It seems like more people than ever are doing real estate, so it's harder and harder, to get properties now. Like I said, let's see. I say in the last 6 months, I probably made, on physical properties that I've been to, I probably made about 10 offers on physical properties I've been to, and outbid every single one of them. Bid on some auctions, so wholesalers are typically the best way to get properties now. If you're not good at finding them on your own, wholesalers are really the best way, is to reach out to them, or have them reach out to you, get on a list, and get listings from them consistently, and get properties that way. I just went to one in Asheboro, which is about 30 minutes from where I am, and I bet you there was probably about 10 flippers there at that open house. And you build up some rapport with some of those people. You talk to them, and you pick their brain and ask that same question: how do you get properties? And most of them say word of mouth or referral. Somebody will tell them, that knows they're in the business, or tell them about a property. And then so I don't have a consistent method. I wish I did, but yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Drop for dollars. I'll send out mailers. I'll send out my own personal creative offers. I'll make cash offers. I'll make auction offers. And like I said, you just hope for the best. And like I said, the majority of the time you're going to get outbid, but you're never going to get anything if you don't keep making the offers.
All right. So Harold, let me ask you this.
Mhm.
So kind of based on, I guess, working with contractors, what would be, again, I know you mentioned the contractor's contract, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's crucial, because I've heard somebody else mention that, right? Like having certain stipulations in there. But what else could you say is a healthy way for You know, because I don't want people to come into this thinking that they're going to bump heads with their contract. What's a healthy way to make sure everybody's on the same page? If you could, another way outside of, you know, the actual paperwork part. Does that make sense? Like, how do you make sure they're going to meet your expectations, or what's a healthy way to start that relationship?
So I think make sure you can get along with the person, just in general. You know, like I said, aside from the paperwork, just make sure you feel like they have a good personality that you mesh with. You know, they don't seem confrontational when you meet them. You know, initially. So I think having that feel like you have a good rapport with that as a person, not as a contractor, but as a person. You know, I think will help. You know, the transactions and the interactions throughout the process go smoother. You know, if you feel like it's somebody that's going to be very combative, if you tell them something that they don't want to hear, you know, you probably shouldn't work with that person. So I think, you know, feeling like you have good personalities that, you know, will get along well. Uh, I think that's very important. And try not to be too friendly with them, because you still want to have a employer employee relationship. You want them to remember that's the relationship, and not have them feel like they're your friend, because they'll feel like they can run over you if you're too friendly with them. You don't want them to run over you. You have to do something, you know, negative or reinforce something. You don't want them to feel like they're your friend and they can just do whatever. So having a good personality that, you know, you feel you can work with, and keeping a employer employee relationship, yeah, I feel is super important to help that process be smooth throughout the renovation. And this is one thing that you need to make sure of, is that the person answers their phone. that's that's super important. You can do that initially when you considering the person. You know, you can call them even if you don't really have a question, just call them and see if they pick up the phone. Say, oh, I just called to ask you so and so. Even if you really weren't, you just want to see if they're going to answer their phone. You know, so that's super important. Because, you know, you got people that don't answer their phone, and that is nothing more frustrating than that, especially if they're flipping something that's 30 minutes away or an hour away. You know, you're going to count on this person a lot, and they need to answer their phone. If they don't answer their phone when you're considering them, then I probably wouldn't hire that person.
Yeah, I could definitely lend credence to that. And I don't think I've ever, whether it's real estate or anything else, if I couldn't hold a conversation with you, even if it's the first time meeting you, probably wouldn't work out. Right. So, you know, I think that's crucial in all areas of life. And is this person talkable, like, or approachable, or, you know, are they personable? I think you even did a better job on, like, hey, remember that relationship exists. Like, I am hiring you to perform a service, and yes, we want to be friendly and cordial, but at the same time, I'm paying you for a service, and you know, establishing that working relationship and keeping those boundaries.
Yep, the boundaries are super important. And even if, and then one thing I do want to add to the contract is that, you know, in my contract I have about payment schedules. And, you know, that's, you know, something that I'd recommend somebody new is not to give anybody too much money up front. That's a big thing that, you know, an inexperienced person can see. The contract can say, you know, I want to be paid $35,000, and then I need you to give me $20,000 of that up front, and then we'll get the job started. And you should never do that. So that's one thing I really want people to know, is never give a contractor a huge amount of money up front, because like I said, they could walk away and never see you again, and then you'll be out of that money. It's always said that any contractor that's good at their job, they should have enough money to be able to at least start the job for a week or so on their own money. And then when they complete something, let's say they complete demo, then you can give them a little bit of money. But you shouldn't give them a huge amount of money up front, because like I said, you're playing with fire if you do that. You know, I got the you know, the contractor's tag, and he was a Mexican contractor, Daniel, and I got his tag. He gave me his alien registration card. I got his driver's license and social security card. You know, I got as many documents from him as possible, you know, in the beginning, once I gave him some money, you know, just so I could track him down. But he volunteered some of that stuff, so, you know, that was good. But yeah, don't give a huge amount of money up front. Make them, because you go to a job, they don't give you your money up front. You have to work some before you get a paycheck. Same thing. Exact same thing. Make them work some before you give them any money.
I appreciate you diving back into that, because I think yeah, I've heard, I've been a part of your experience. I've heard other experiences myself.
People have gotten
All right,
burned.
yep. Last month we lost a bunch of money.
Mm.
We're trying to make that switch. We're not there yet, but as long as I know we keep, working with individuals like yourself, we will make that jump. So, Mari, I'm going to turn it over to you. Did you have another question?
Quick question would be, what's like your favorite type of, I guess, deal you could say in real estate to do, like flips?
Fix and flip.
Okay.
Yeah, just to seeing it look like it's should be knocked down to beautiful. It's just amazing seeing that transformation. That to me, that's the exciting part. And my wife likes, picking out stuff. So yeah, that transformation is really what's exciting. Seeing something that looks terrible, and the neighbors around the houses, they look at it and they're like, man, I've known the three families that lived here before you bought it, and this looks incredible. They would love to see this. I'm gonna take some pictures and send it to them. So yeah, you meet some good people that live around it, and sometimes those people look out for you. I had one person call me at a house and said that my front door was cracked, and I had just appliances delivered. He was same name as mine, but he was Harold Mann, his last name, and Mr. Harold called me. And I didn't give him my number. He got it off my sign. I have a Melinda Property sign I stick in the front yard. We buy houses.
Yeah.
And he called that sign and he said, I don't know if this is the one that's renovating the house at so and so, but your front door is cracked. And I called it back and I said, thank you, Mr. Harris. He said he went over and he locked the door for me. He said, you had all them appliances in there. I didn't want anybody to take them. So I went over there and he was over there as soon as I pull the driveway, he shows up. He was like 88 and he would get on his ride across the street and come over and talk to me every time. So he even cut the grass one time. Even cut my grass one time. So yeah,
I mean, before they have golf carts, they had lawnmowers, right? So
yeah,
shout out to old school.
Yeah, you meet some nice people, and then like I said, you always should be friendly with the neighbors around whatever property you own. Because you never know when they might do a solid like that for you. And look out for you. So
that's so true. And we really appreciate you taking time. I guess I got one more question to wrap it up. What would be your key, your number one your number one gem or your key takeaway from your real estate experience that you'd like to share, or you're willing to share with everybody?
My number one thing is just don't overpay. That's the number one thing is just because you can buy it, don't buy it if it's not a good price. Understand the process of calculating the correct price, because you have to increase the probability of losing money if you pay too much for it. So buy at the right price. Don't buy just because you can buy. Because like I said, it's easy to buy. Buying is not the hard part. Buying at the good price is the hard part. So don't overpay. That's probably the biggest advice, and if you're not sure if the price is good, have somebody else check it for you. But don't buy just to buy. Make sure that you're buying at a price that you can make money, because they say you make money when you buy. And that's essentially true. And I also want to add that, I have done a little bit of private money lending too, through some people, and made a couple of dollars that way too. I loaned out money and got paid a percentage back on that. So that's another way that, you can make money as well, as loaning money out to people and getting paid a percentage to loan that money out. Last one I did, I loaned $37,500 and I got paid $5,000 to loan that money out for like 2 months.
That's not bad. That's you never get those returns on the stock market unless you're like trading Forex or whatever, and that's
Right.
very risky.
Yeah, that's what, $2,500 a month profit. So,
Maury, did you have any?
and I didn't have to do any, work. I didn't have to call somebody like wholesaling or flip anything. It's essentially free money. Essentially, just hopefully, you get a person, you get your promissory note in place to cover yourself. And one thing I want to add about that, when you do that, you got to realize too, the person can file bankruptcy and get out of those promissory notes.
So I said, I lied. Apologies. That was my last question, but I think what you're hitting on is crucial, because I think it's becoming more niche. I've heard the term before, gator funding. How did you validate, that person you decide to lend money to? Or I don't need you to go into all your trade secrets, but if you could just hey, beware of this, or if you see this, this, and this, you know, that's a safe loan.
Uh, I don't know if there's a safe loan. And like I said, typically I once again, I said I just try to get my documents in place, but I also, like I said, I do research on the person on the internet too, to see if I find anything negative about the person, as well. It's probably the main thing, if I don't know the person per se personally, because I've taken some chances on that before, and I shouldn't do it, but yeah, I've taken a chance. One person I loaned to that is in a group that I'm in, like a mentorship type group, and they live in Utah, and I'm in North Carolina, and I loaned them some money, and it's probably crazy now that I think about it. I probably shouldn't have done it. So, but I typically vet the person by getting my documentation in place, and I also do research online on the individual to see if I can find anything on them if I don't know them personally. But that's not the norm. I don't typically loan to strangers. I like for it to be somebody that's in my general area, so I can check in on the jobs that I've loaned that money for. Because it gives you a little more comfort knowing that the person's in your immediate area.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to try to find all kinds of ways you can to make some money. When you're in between deals, you got to try to find a way to coop. I even do boots on the ground. I'll do that even. I do that some too, if you're familiar with that. So I do that as well. I just start $75 a pop and do that. I did 2 last week. And then, but that's also another way that I use to meet people and make connections. I do that. I always meet more people. So that's just another, because a lot of times when I do that, they'll send a contractor. Whoever I'm doing it for, send a contractor. So I'll meet another contractor. It's very hard. People struggle to find contractors, and that's another way to meet contractors. Besides the normal things that people say, like going to Home Depot in the mornings, or Lowe's in the mornings when they're picking up their inventory. You go to those home improvement stores, and you can get cards that way and meet contractors that way. I like Angie's List.
What's that?
Angie's List, your thumb, what's it called? I forgot the name of it. Thumbtack. Angie's List is where the service where you look for a service, and then they find people for you. So if I go to Angie, it's called Angie, Angi. You go there, and then you put in roof repair, and then they contact you they give you roof repair options.
Okay.
So I put general contractor, and then they give me general contractor options, and then I can pick the ones that I seem like I like from the profile that they have, and they're rated too. They got 5 stars, 4 stars, or whatever. You can pick the 5-star ones, and then you can reach out to them and get a quote. Say, I got this property. I would like you to come out, give me a quote for it, and that's where I got the one that did the termite renovation. That's where he came from, was Angie's List.
Okay.
I got some from Rick, and then I got some from Angie's List, and I interviewed him, and he wound up being the one. The one from Angie's List is the one that I wound up picking, and he had a high rating, and then like I said, he did good work. So that's another option for contractors, is Angie's List or Thumbtack, which is the same type of service as that. But I like it for the boots on the ground, though. Like I said, you can meet contractors that way. I've met numerous contractors that way. Then I have a list that I have on Excel. I have like this huge Excel file with all these tabs on it. That everything, finance to proof of funds to subs, and it's got sub lists, got everything broken down, A to Z. I'm trying to remember off the top.
Yeah, I would, if I could interject, there's all these fancy CRMs, consumer relation management or software that people use for deal flow. And Omari, I'm glad you said that, Harold, because I've got our team on Google Sheets, and it's so basic, but it's so easy to use, and it's a live document versus all this other crazy madness. So I'm just glad you confirmed that.
Yep. That's what I said. I just got a basic Excel spreadsheet, and my sub tabs I have like some of the categories: attorney, cleaning, concrete, demo, doors. I'm looking at my list: dumpsters, electricians, engineer, financing, and I got names for each one of these under each category: fire damage, framing, granite, GCs, gutters, handyman, HVAC, insulation, landscaping, multiple service providers, mold, painting, pest control, porta potties, realtors, roofing, shower doors, stairs, stagers, tree service, termites, and windows. Those are my categories. And I got somebody's names under each one of those that I've gotten over time. And I just go to that list when I need one of those services.
Great.
And it's like he said, it's a living document. I add to it all the time when I meet somebody new to add.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you jumping on here, Harold. And I know a lot of times in this industry and a lot of industries, when people are trying to develop a wealth mindset, they run into gate guardians, and it's not too common. You have people like yourself. I mean, I've learned a lot working with you. I mean, you've even blessed me, kind of like what you said, going out there and seeing properties. There's been times that you've gone out to properties without me, and you're like, hey, Rick, before you send anybody else out to this property, you didn't need to be aware of this, this, and that. And so I would encourage everybody, like, if you feel like you don't have that level of trust with somebody, a lot of that you can gauge from conversation, not always, because, you know, there are some, I guess, some double-faced people out here, but you try to find people like Harold.
And always record your properties when you go to them, so you can look at it later. Even if you don't buy it, you can go back and see what you initially thought of it, and then go back and look at the video, and you'll be like, man, I missed that. I missed that too. I missed that, you know. So record it when you're doing your walkthrough, because you're going to miss stuff when you first walk through, and you're going to go back and look at the video. That way you'll be more aware to be more conscious of things the next time you go look at a property. Record it. That way you can go back and look at it later and see all the things you missed, and it'll make you improve. And, you know, try to have a list too. You know, my wife creates like a walkthrough list to try to help not miss stuff, but you still miss stuff.
And I want to give a shout out to Mrs. Easley. You know, beside every great man is a great woman, and she's not on this call right now, but I know they're a power couple, and I think that's amazing, and that's what I'm looking for personally in life. So I love that you guys are getting after it together, and it sounds like your style. I know we've talked a little bit about that, how she complements what you're doing in the business, and vice versa. So God bless y'all.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a learning process. Like I said, I consider on a scale of 1 to 10, I consider me a 3. So I have a lot to learn, and still a lot left to do. So you know, I always try to grow. So I got a long way to go. So talk to me again in 2 years, and hopefully I'm on a real serious level at that time.
Hopefully 2 years from now, we're gonna have all the hype. We're gonna be doing this video on a rooftop in Dubai somewhere. But
yeah,
goals, right? Or maybe just in somewhere else in America that's beautiful too, you know. So with that being said, if nobody else has anything to add, and I'm not cutting it short, if somebody wants to say anything else, I'm going to turn the mic over.
I appreciate it. You know, I enjoyed it, gentlemen, and like I said, you know, I appreciate you having me on and getting to talk a little bit about what I enjoy doing.
Appreciate you for coming.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.